Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 13 of What If Naruto Was Born in the Uzumaki clan. Unfortunately tonight I'm only going to be posting one What If on each channel, yeah guys. So stay in tune for What If Naruto pushed himself to his limit over an Anime King 2. Don't worry, I'm going to be starting by the original tomorrow. Going to be getting your 2 What If on each channel, so don't worry about that guys. But I do hope that you guys enjoy. Remember to get this one to 200 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And if this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, Naruto and Galatea battle on the skyscrapers of the Hidden Rain, as she knew that he had a great power inside of him, given that she also had a small bit of that power able to control things, but his power was just beyond her level. But it's just that he's not forgiven himself. He still blames himself for everything, as he needs to know that it's not his fault. After clashing, she threw him straight down, but he landed on his feet, right off of a skyscraper. As the both of them start a battle again, and he started to get loose with his demonic powers. His dark powers were just a lot. But she showed him without control, he has nothing. But she still couldn't handle him. He was just that strong and overpowering. But she wouldn't let him get into her mind. But she was able to subside his power for just a few seconds, which she used the opportunity to knock him out. As he woke up, she was standing there. She was in her bra and her underwear, seeing that he ended up ripping off her clothes while he was fighting her. As she told him about the mission that Domino Squad has to take on. They have to kill Onki. They have to kill the leader of the Hidden Stone. And after that everything will fall down. And they have to kill the major politicians of the Hidden Stone as well, to make the entire village crumble. As Naruto was surprised, this was a big job, and this would get all of them killed. This was like a suicide mission. After a bit of talking, he decided to go along with it, but before that, they have to train. The next day, the group was notified of what was going to happen. As she took the others and headed off, while Naruto stood with Konan. As Konan did something that surprised him, she plucked 2 leaves from the ground, without even moving, and sliced them up into the pieces, but then she made them reform right in front of his eyes. As she then held onto his hand and told him to trust her. As the both of them came together, as he felt calm. When he opened his eyes, he saw the leaves around him, thousands of them being cut up, and then come back together. But he then let it slip, as it exploded out of him, all of the leaf being blown away. As she simply smiled and told him all that he needed is control. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Sand, Pakura came back to her leader and informed her about the Akatsuki and the boy. As the Kazekage was shocked that someone could stand up to Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash, as he wants to have a meeting with this Naruto. After some time, Naruto finally got the message from Pakura, as things were going along great. But he found out that Kumo had stayed behind at Uzo, and had thousands of Uzo people, and using them as slaves, people to experiment on. As Naruto was pissed to hear that, but he couldn't go up against Kumo alone, as few of the Kinkaku members are there, so he needed help. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the Blitz check out for yourself. So, what is to begin this new episode? Hanzo was surprised when one of his servants had informed him that Uzumaki and Naruto want to meet him immediately in the middle of the night. If it was anyone else, he would have told him to go away, but that boy was special and crucial for the Hidden Rain future, so despite being tired, he met up with the boy. An hour later, as he finished reading through the information that was given to Naruto, Hanzo was shocked. "Are you sure this is correct?" he asked. "Positive," said Naruto. As Hanzo saw hope, anxiety, anger rage in the boy's eyes, even willing to die to free his own people, it brought a smile to Hanzo's face. "You're going to save them." "I will," Naruto said. "You will die," said Hanzo. "So be it," Naruto said. "I swore an oath to protect the Uzumaki, and as a ninja of Uzo, it's my duty to protect my people. If my death is what required for those 1,500 souls to be free, then I would gladly give my life." As Hanzo nodded respectfully, as he admired how the boys stayed loyal and faithful to their village despite the destruction. It was this loyalty that made him trust the boy, but without help, his chance of success were non-existent. And the both of them knew it. As Hanzo knew what Naruto wanted, but at the same time he waited and didn't say anything. As Naruto could see it in his eyes, he was testing him just like every Kage. But today was not about his pride, this was about his people and the fate of his family. And there was no lines he wouldn't cross for the people he cared about. Hanzo's eyes wide when the proud Uzumaki, who never bowed down or backed down, bowed down in front of him. It was a sight that Hanzo would never forget. It also made him get up from his chair. To set one pride aside, as a ninja, bow before a shinobi, it was not many things that people could do. "Salamander Hanzo, I, Uzumaki and Naruto need your aid in saving my clan," requested Naruto. "Stand, Naruto," said Hanzo. As Naruto stood up, "You and I both know that the Hidden Rain don't have such ninjas for an operation like that. We can barely defend our borders, but at the same time you have done most for our nation than our many other ninjas. I cannot give you my army, but I can give you my best soldiers," Hanzo said. How many, Naruto asked as he tried to hide his disappointment, as he knew that the Hidden Rain didn't have a lot of soldiers, but he had to try. "One squad," Hanzo said. As Naruto saw the look in Hanzo's eyes, many people would have think that this was a disrespect, but Naruto knew what Hanzo just offered was priceless. This man was willing to give him his best soldiers, knowing that if they die in this mission, the Hidden Stone will completely wreck the Hidden Rain. He was placing the Uzumaki survival over his own village future. "Hanzo," Naruto said, shocked. "If the Uzumakis you want to save are even half as loyal and as brave as you, then I'm willing to take this risk. I cannot give you my army, but I will personally aid you in this battle." As Naruto's eyes widened hearing those words, he had come here expecting little to no help, but this man was going this far for him. Hanzo inwardly smiled, as Naruto didn't understand why he was doing this for him. He was powerful, but he was still young. And unlike other Kages, Salamander Hanzo, he valued conviction and loyalty above all others. And this boy, right here, Naruto Uzumaki, had that in full. "I cannot ask you to do something like that," Naruto said. "I am making this decision on my own free will," said Hanzo. "You will need my help to save your people, and for Kumo not to discover who attacked their forces, we will have to make sure not even one of their ninjas survive." Hanzo then saw the look in Naruto's eyes, literally burning. "Those bastards would pay for what they did to my people," he said. "Akeno once told me that most Fair Clan men distance themselves from you due to your power. Tell me, why are you so loyal to them? I want to understand," said Hanzo. Hearing that, Naruto simply smiled. "People always fear what they can't understand. In those years, I couldn't control my power. Led to a few unfortunate accidents, which made few of my clan men wary of me. As for me being bullied, it can happen to any child, but I survived that and it made me stronger. My clan is a rough bunch, and it is hard to please. But that didn't stop them from looking after me. They gave me a home, food, and a chance to use my power for something good. I don't expect you to understand, Hanzo." But I came to little with nothing in this world. It made me cherish what they have given me. The Uzumaki clan is my blood. I don't care if I'm a dangerous bastard in their eyes, but as long as I live, I won't let them fall near his head. As Hanzo looked at Naruto, he saw the look in the boy's eyes. It made him wish that he had a son just like Naruto, who would carry on forward the hidden rain to a great future. Come with me, said Hanzo. As Hanzo placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, as Hanzo shunshined the both of them. When his vision cleared, he was standing in a forest. Tall trees all around. It was the closest thing that the hidden rain has as a forest. He looked at Hanzo for explanation as Hanzo whistled, as Naruto could feel movements in the forest coming. As Naruto waited, he then heard a growl as he saw a mighty white wolf came out of the forest. As the creature came rushing forward and seeing Hanzo, as the wolf tackled Hanzo down to the ground and started to lick him, as Naruto could see they share a close bond. After several moments, the wolf got up as it took a protective stance around Hanzo, but Hanzo patted it on the head as it let go of its stance. Ghost, he belonged to my younger brother. They were battle partners. You remind me of my younger brother Naruto. He was brave and fierce. One of his legs were twisted, but that didn't stop him from defending two young girls from being raped by stone shinobis. It cost him his life, but he still fought, Hanzo said sadly. But there was immense pride in Hanzo's voice as well. As the wolf looked at Naruto, Naruto then turned his eyes, pitch red just like the wolf. Instead of being scared, the wolf howled up as he then came and licked Naruto's face. It touched Naruto's heart to see this creature not run away, despite seeing for the monster that he was. As Hanzo patted the wolf, my brother always felt that despite everything, this world is still beautiful despite the darkness. He believed that one day people could live in peace. And when he died, his dream, it became my dream to fulfill. I have tried my best bringing the hidden rain and the samurais together, but I need help to bring the world together. Will you help me? Hanzo asked, as he extended his hand towards Naruto. As Naruto grabbed his hand, a firm squeeze. To the death, he said, as Hanzo smiled. Will you accept Ghost as your battle partner? I can't be your little brother, Naruto said, sadly. Then be my son. As those demonic eyes looked back at Hanzo in shock. I'm a Uzumaki, Naruto said in weak protest, but Hanzo smiled. We may not have the name or blood, but we have the dream. Time skip. As the breeze was hitting him fast, the trees clashing by, as he was racing fast on top of the wolf that Hanzo gave him. He could now understand why the people respected Hanzo, as he saw it last night in a man. He never thought that he had his own summon, like Akeno, as he was just dashing on the wolf. The wolf was moving at lightning speed, bringing him towards the border. And now as this wolf carried him forward, Naruto knew he was his battle partner, because they both were wolf, vicious, fierce, powerful, and caring towards their pack. Hanzo had promised him that he will come to his aid alongside Domino's squad by the end of this week. He had given Hanzo a location where they would meet. For now, he was going ahead of them. He was going to rally every Akatsuki member for the upcoming battle. He had sent word for Kisame to come for his support. Kumo would pay. They should have killed the Uzumaki when they had the chance. But now, he's going to make each and every one of them suffer a horrible death. But his heart was still lingering on how the people of Hidden Rain accepted him for who he was. His darkness, it didn't scare them. Be it Konan, Yaito, Yaltia, or Hanzo. They were willing to stand by his side, despite the fact that he was not a ninja of their nation. Despite saying that he wouldn't get attached to these people, he knew that he had a deep place in his heart, especially after what Hanzo just did for him. He was thankful to the rain as they concealed his tears, but for once this was not pain of agony or sorrow. It was tears of joy. The hidden rain was a vision he wanted for a new world, and not the bloodthirsty one. It wouldn't be long before Akatsuki become feared across the world. They had already been noticed, seen at Konoha as being hearing about them, especially what after with him and the Yellow Flash encounter. and the nations love come together when they can't take down something on their own. And in this generation, that enemy that they has to take down was him. But he need to make the Akatsuki more strong. This moment, apart from Hidan and Kisame, the rest of the members are just cult members, bandits, and rogue and criminal. Combining all of that was pitiful to the great villages who had strong ninjas. He need to get more strong members. Right now he didn't even have a second. But opening up the Akatsuki to more members could lead to betrayal. Right now he alone was carrying the torch. He need to have a second in command. In case anything, in case of his death, for that person to carry on the dream. Right now he couldn't even imagine what Nagato or Akeno would think once Hanzo revealed to them the truth. But now, he had little time and he has to hurry as the wolf increases speed as he headed off. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Minato glanced around the room at the people to be called in the middle of the night by Jiraiya, meaning something was up. Danzo being the military commander, he knew that something was up as well as he was looking at Jiraiya. Hiruzen along with the Anbu commander was there as well. So were Tsunade and Orochimaru. What have you found? Asked Hiruzen. You asked me to investigate the Akatsuki, and I found some disturbing things, said Jiraiya. Explain, Danzo said. Jiraiya pressed the button that started the fight between Minato and the Akatsuki leader. There was also other footages of different members of the Akatsuki butchering other Konoha ninjas. Jiraiya focused on the section where Minato wounded his opponent into the throat. But despite that lethal injury, the boy didn't die. What do you see? Jiraiya said. He again then played the footage of Minato stabbing the boy, and the boy fleeing from the battlefield. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. That wound was a killing blow that would have killed a Kage like himself. But this boy didn't die. He survived and also ran away. Whether he died afterwards is a mystery, but from what he had seen so far, he doubted the boy was dead. Tsunade also noticed something which he had missed before. He killed our people so viciously. The sheer amount of hate in his eye. You could see it. He was wronged somehow by our village. Or someone died on the battlefield for him. And our village must be responsible, she said. Before running away, he told me that blood must have blood, said Minato. Orochimaru and Danzo didn't say anything, they just looked at each other, as they know they had made a big enemy in that boy. They should have tried harder to kill that boy, because he was becoming a menace day by day. It's healing, it is unnatural. As far as I know, no Shinobi or clan has that healing except for the Senjus. And Tsunade couldn't finish her sentence as a horrible reality hit her. That wouldn't have killed most Senju, apart from her. But there was one clan that had more life force and better healing ability from Senjus. Are you suggesting that the boy is a Uzumaki? Hiruzen said. We cannot say for certain, but if a few Uzumaki did survive the massacre, they can hold Konoha responsible for not coming to their aid in the final hours. The young Uzumaki could be angered. Despite generation of alliance, we could not save them, said Jiraiya. Still, they should have come to Konoha. We would have sheltered them, said Hiruzen sadly. Mito Uzumaki would never forgive him if what his student was suggesting was true. This is all speculation, and if it were true, that boy and his allies are still our enemies, said Orochimaru. He's right, Hiruzen. He killed Kagami and many of our shinobi. He must pay with his life for that, said Danzo. As Hiruzen turned towards Minato, Minato was staring at the boy image. But he didn't blink. We cannot forgive him, Hokage-sama. The Uchihas would demand that boy's head for killing Kagami. And we cannot have any antagonizing feeling between the Uchihas right now, said Minato. So the boy must die, proposed Hiruzen. As he received grim nods from everyone in the room, he sighed in defeat. It was times like these when he felt the burden of being Hokage. Even if the boy's reason for waging war against Konoha was justified, he had to die so Konoha could live. Sarutobi-sensei, Kushina has requested to visit Uzo to pay respect for her deceased clan and her son, informed Tsunade. Absolutely not. She's a Jinjulke and cannot afford to be leaving the village in these times of war, said Danzo. But he was silenced when Hiruzen raised his hand. I gave you command over our shinobi, but Kushina being a Jinjulke is still under my command. With the demise of the Uzumaki clan, we don't have any more Uzumakis that can become the Kyuubi's jailer. Do you understand what is at stake, Danzo? Asked Hiruzen seriously. Snathi was disgusted at what Hiruzen was suggesting. Konoha needed Kushina to have many more children, so that in the future, Uzumaki memories can carry on the burden of being a Jinchuriki. Maybe even restart the Uzumaki clan, and that would be an addition to Konoha. And for that to be a success, they needed Kushina consent. And the only way is for them to keep her happy. With the death of her son, Konoha had only earned her wrath, and Hiruzen was trying to keep her on good terms. As she looked over to see that Minato was equally disturbed by this, but he was playing smart and not doing anything stupid, seeing that Hiruzen was a Hokage and Danzo was a military commander. These old men held more power and respect in the village. Maybe in a few years after they win the war, Minato will become the new hero, but he had to wait. That is if Jiraiya or Orochimaru didn't succeed Hiruzen in being Hokage. As for her, she was happy living her life with Dan. She had already lost her brother, Nawaki, in the previous war. And now, all she wanted was this war to end, so that she could live with her lover in peace. And right now the Senjus were already fading from the world. She lost her grandfather, her granduncle, her parents, her little brother, most of her clanmen through war. And if this didn't stop soon, the Senjus will disappear from the world completely. As a Senju, she would stand by Konoha and protect it, but she wanted change. If she had children of her own, she didn't want them to grow up in this chaotic world right now. Looking at a young boy on the screen, what was he fighting for? Does he have a way to stop all the chaos and violence in this world? She shook her head. Why was she rooting for him? He was her enemy. But as she glanced at his masked face, she felt like something was familiar with him. It's like the both of them had an invisible connection. She didn't know if that was a good or bad thing. Fortunately, she was snapped from her thoughts by her teacher next command. Jiraiya, continue your investigation on this boy. Meanwhile, Danzo, have you finished our preparations for our renewed invasion against the Sun? As Hiruzen received a firm nod from the both of them. In 2 weeks, we will be fully ready to crush the hidden Sun, said Danzo. Very well. Minato and Orochimaru, the both of you will escort Kushina to Uzu so she can pay her respects. Take Obita and Ren along with you as well, and squads of Anbu as well, said Hiruzen, as Orochimaru seemed rather annoyed. As Hiruzen noticed that, recover any jutsu or knowledge from the ruins of Uzu, Orochimaru, said Hiruzen, as he saw his frown turn into a grin. As Minato nodded, Obita and Ren can use some time away from this war, after losing Kakashi, and Kushina can get some closure. If there's any trouble, I'll teleport them back to the village. I know, Minato, and I trust you to be smart. If Uzu is still occupied by any village, I entrust you to leave immediately. We are already waging war against the Sun. I don't need another front to open up against Kumo, Kiri, or the Stone. Do you understand? I do, said Minato. As Minato was going back home when the meeting was over, he felt like going to Uzu was a bad feeling. Maybe he was nervous, being near to Kushina, seeing how bad their last quarrel was. Or maybe he just didn't want to go to the place where his son had fallen. It was too painful, but Kushina was adamant on going there. And now the Hokage has approved it. That means it was a mission. Despite everything, he still wanted to protect Kushina, and he still loved her. She captured his art right there, all those years ago in the academy, and he still loved her. She used to be so full of life, and seeing her transform into a broken woman, it was so heartbreaking. He knew the pain of losing her only child. This was what turned her like this. That is why he accepted her anger. And he knew the moment their son was taken away, they lost each other that day. And he couldn't help but wish that maybe they could find each other again. Even though it was hopeless, he still loved her. She drove him crazy, but he loved her no matter what. As he could just wonder right now, what does Uzu have in store for them? Time skip, Nagato and Akino were speechless, as tears spilled from their eyes. They couldn't believe it, as the entire Domino squad was just told that many more Uzu were still alive and were being held prisoners at Uzu by Kumo ninjas. However, Galtia was the one to ask an important question. Where is Naruto, she said. He went to gather his allies, said Hanzo. Yes, allies, Kiyotsuki said. In surprise, Konan and Akeno both narrowed their eyes on seeing Yaiko look away, and Nagato did the same thing. They had enough secret to deal with. The two boys were surprised when the two girls grabbed their collar, as Akeno stared furiously at Nagato, and Konan did the same with Yaiko. "Out with it," said Akeno. She was surprised when the usual calm, submissive Nagato gave her a rough push, and he glared at her. "No," he said. Konan was surprised as well, and that just made her stare at Yaiko even more. But he stood his ground and held his silence, as Hanzo wasn't surprised that Naruto managed to gain their loyalty. "What did you say?" asked Akeno angrily. "You don't own us, Akeno, and if Naruto has not told you anything, I will not tell you either. I am not going to betray his trust even for you," he said. "But we want to help him, and we can't do that unless we know what we're getting into," said Konan. "There is something called privacy, Konan. He did not ask us any question when we asked him to fight the Hidden Stone for us. And now that he needs us, we're not going to be entering a pissy contest. Naruto needs my help, and as his friend and comrade, my help is his to use, and I won't be questioning him," said Yaiko. As those words went over Daibatsu and Kyatsuki, as they came over and removed Konan from Yaiko's collar. "This is not the time to fight," Daibatsu said. "We can always ask questions later, but now we need to stay united," said Kyatsuki. As it worked, as she backed down in the sigh. She knew if the Uzumakis were alive, Naruto would do anything to save them. That is just how that boy was. And without help, he would die. And that scared her a lot. She couldn't help but be shocked to know how she was feeling for him. The same person she had looked at with mistrust, but now she started to get to know him over the months, and it made her want to protect him and be there with him. As she looked over and saw the same look in Akeno's eyes, they both hated secrets, but if Naruto needed them, they would fight and give their life to protect him. As Galaxia, Mifune, and Hanzo saw the squad that couldn't trust each other, they were now fighting for each other. As Hanzo could see that it was one boy who brought them all together, so he asked him one thing. "Are you ready to go and fight for your commander?" he said. 6 loud thump to the chest was a firm answer, as Galaxia and Mifune got up, as the both of them nodded as well. "Then let us make it history," said Hanzo. Moments later, the Akatsuki base. Kisame was not pleased, for in front of him he could see the entire Akatsuki mercenary army preparing for a war that he had no hope of winning, and in reality was just a waste of life. As he gave a sharp glance at Naruto, he had sent the information about the Uzumaki prisoners to Naruto to keep him informed. He never knew that the boy would act so impulsively, but he should have known that the boy would do anything to protect his clan. That was his greatest weakness. But Naruto was still a leader, and he was told by Naruto that if he wanted to leave he could. But Kisame knew that if he leave right now, he will lose all the hopes the boy had for him, and all the respect. And a small part of him wanted to see how strong the boy has become since his last battle against Konoha. As Kisame knew that something was different, despite going against these odds, the boy, it seems like something was different, like he knew he was going to win. But after this battle, Akatsuki would no longer remain in the shadows, because they were going up against an entire army. But the cult members were just excited that they could spill more blood for their leader. "I see you still don't approve of this," Naruto said. "We are partners. I am free to voice my opinion," said Kisame. "That you are," said Naruto. "What will happen to our revolution if you are defeated in battle, or if you are taken captive or die in battle?" asked Kisame. "That won't happen," promised Naruto. "You think so," said Kisame. "Watch me," Naruto said. "Overconfidence doesn't suit you," said Kisame, earning a nod from Naruto. Something was up, as Kisame knew that Naruto had something up his sleeve. There was 1,000 Kumo shinobis, and these Akatsuki members couldn't stand up to them. So what was going on? "Should I expect some unexpected intervention?" asked Kisame. "Maybe," said Naruto. As Kisame saw the Akatsuki members getting on horses, yes, they could get there faster. "We are ready, my lord," said Hidan, the bloodthirsty grin on his face. As Naruto unsheathed his blade, as Kisame saw the Uzumaki symbol, as Naruto raised it, as the entire force behind him gave a battle cry. Kisame smiled as he jumped on his own horse, as Naruto was at the front, as he was sitting on his large wolf. When he ran from Uso, he was just a boy, and now, as he's going back to his home, he's returning as a man. At Konoha, Minato watched as Kushina marched towards the gates. Him, Orochimaru, and 2 squads of Anbu Black Ops were there, as she was wearing her Konoha Jonin uniform with her headband right in her head, as it made him happy that she was wearing the headband proudly. She may resent the village, but that will never get in the way of her duty. How long will it take us to go to Uzo, said Orochimaru. A week on foot, said Minato. But if I use my Harashin for shorter distances, we can reach there in 3 days. As everyone was relieved, the ninja team as well, seeing that no one liked long journeys. Impressive, so you had marked your seals across the land straight to Uzo, said Orochimaru with respect. A few inside Uzo land as well, said Minato. Rival or not, Orochimaru could respect an intelligent move, as everyone could feel this kind of tension between them as they gave each other a small smile. There was no killing intent, but there was just something there. One of them were, as Kushina looked at them, one of them were the lover that broke her heart. And Orochimaru just gave her the creeps. She placed a hand on his shoulder as he looked at her. Many people got surprised in looks. If it do not tire you much, she said. As he smiled. Not at all, he said, as they all form a circle and link hands together. It was going to be exhausting to transport these people from long distances, but having her warm hand on him, it gave him energy. He then felt another source of chakra, giving him strength as he looked at her. She was looking straight forward, but she was giving him strength. Maybe, just maybe this trip could make them start things again. The next second, the entire group vanished in a bright yellow flash. 2 days later, the Sea of Uzo, as Hidan looked over, as he had a twisted smile on his face. He couldn't wait until he butchered these Kumo ninjas. As he looked to see his other cult members were also excited to kill. They were currently sailing towards their Dark Lord homeland on a rather big ship. It had taken a lot of money to get this vessel, to carry the entire Akatsuki and also their horses, but the Dark Lord insisted that it was worth the cost. And who were they to question their Dark Lord? As Naruto was standing at the front of a ship, as Hidan went up there. Seems Kumo is not completely foolish, said Naruto. What should we do? Our ship is not built for combat, especially against those navy vessels, said Kisame. We will kill anyone that gets in your way, Dark Lord, said Hidan as he raised his sight. As the others raised up as well, but Naruto raised his hand. There is no need for any of you to die just yet, he said, as Hidan heard those cold, chilling tones. Their lord was going to do something dark. As they saw many Kumo flags, it seems the world's largest military navy had deployed their navy troops to keep intruders out of Uzo. Kisame gripped his sword, but Naruto stopped him. As everyone went wide, their eyes wide, when Naruto started to levitate off the boat. He was flying. I will personally handle this, he said in a dark tone. As Naruto levitated straight up the sea, there was dozens of ships. By dozens of dangerous shinobis sailing them. A wicked coldness rushed across his heart as he could see these people slaughtering his clansmen, enslaving his people. It made him get just beyond angry. Cruel hatred, wickedness started to spread across him. They were monsters for what they did, but it was the day they would make a bigger monster, something even more deadly. This was his home, his land, his sea, his water. As he closed his eyes and focused the energy around him, Conan had told him to accept himself and truly accept himself, to harness his dark power. Kisame's eyes widened as he sensed some monstrous buildup of energy around him. No, it was not around him, but the entire sea. Kisame was beyond shock as he glanced at the floating boy. They were no longer equals in power. He knew that now. As Hidan raised his sight as Kumo ships came in closer and started to give off warnings for them to turn back or be destroyed. As Kisame felt the winds, the water, everything went silent. But beyond that silent, Kisame could feel the roar. Feel pain. Kisame and Hidan's eyes went wide to what their leader did after giving out that monstrous scream. Gigantic. Waves of water erupted from under every Kumo ship. Hidan and other cult members roar in delight as they watch the ships were being decimated right in front of their eyes. As Kisame saw the water rip through the body of the humans on the vessels, ripping them to shreds, showers of blood, flesh, wood spread all across the sea. Just like that, it was over. Our entire fleet got wiped out. Hundreds of them died by just one strike, by one warrior. If the Yellow Flash was the ultimate shinobi, then his son was the ultimate monster. Only God can now save the remaining Kumo ninjas from his monstrous wrath as he looked down at the village. A day later, Kisame has seen many dark things in his life, many vengeful scums, evil bastards, but none of them had stand a chance to this one in front of him. As Naruto, the entire Kumo scout in front of him, an entire unit of them, the men and women were riding in agony as Naruto dark chakra ripped through their body in and out. Their flesh started to burn away, withering away to nothingness, but even then he didn't stop, he destroyed their bones. Even a boy that was the same age as him, Naruto reduced the boy to dust, as he was going to make sure all of them receive a heartful and hateful and vengerous death from him. As the cult members and Hidan, they were just laughing. The rest of the Akatsuki, like the mercenaries, were scared and shocked. Their small army had already set up camp a distance away from Osu. A few unfortunate shinobi had been caught by Hidan and in his traps and paid with it for their life. As Naruto turned his demonic eyes to the squad leader, she was a pretty blonde with fair skin. As she was crying after seeing what just happened to her squad, they were literally burned to ashes and scattered across the lands. And when those demonic eyes turned towards her, she wanted to kill herself because she can only imagine what he was going to do to her. But before anything could happen, her mind was ripped through by Naruto, gaining everything: the positions, the guard patterns, the arms, the location, the Uzumaki prisoners. Everything was ripped from her brain. And when she opened back her eyes, he was right in front of her, holding his blade, as she saw the Uzumaki symbol on it. As Naruto then pulled out a jar with a green flame in it, as he opened it, as Hidan watched a green flame came onto his master blade. Please, the girl begged. It's too late for that, he said. Her eyes widened when the entire sword was lit alive in the green flames. This was not ordinary fire, she could feel the heat. It was something worse. This is demonic fire, Naruto said. My people were masters in Fuinjutsu and even alchemy. We had no intention of destroying your village, but you destroy ours. Now, I will use the legacy of my clan, and the best part about this weapon, it never stopped burning for 7 days. As a wicked smile was on his lips. She started to scream, but no one ever hear her cry because the silence concealed. As he placed a hand on her cheek, you butcher my people and torture them. It is justice that you receive the same favor from me. Kumo will not receive an entire drop of mercy from me. You did the same to my people. Die, knowing that your nation will burn like you. As he plunged his sword right in her chest, and the scream she gave was terrifying. As Kisame saw green flames erupt through her body, she screamed as her blood started to boil, her organs started to melt away, but she didn't die. Her agony and painful scream continued for several minutes as he watched. What was once a beautiful woman was reduced to a skeleton. Her skin started to peel away, but then she didn't even die. Whatever those flames were, Kisame was terrified of them. If the Akatsuki members never feared their leader, they were now, as they saw what he did to his enemy. As Hidan and his cult just laughed as they were happy, and happy of the woman's suffering. Making common soldiers suffer is a waste of our time. They are just pawns who follow orders. You're too soft, Kisame, Naruto said, as he picked up a sword and drove it through her skull, stopping her suffering. Even the sword that he drove right in her skull melted away, the green flames consuming it. Kisame could understand why he was behaving like this, but they had better things to do. Did you discover anything useful? Said Kisame. The fleet we destroyed had 220 of their ninjas on board. We've also killed 50 of your scouts, so their numbers are around 700. The Kinkaku squadron boarded the village, and the rest of the ninja guard, my clansman, informed Naruto. Who command these forces? Asked Kisame. Her name is Yujito. the two-tailed Jinjulki host. The others were shocked to hear that. Facing off against Kinkaku members and squadrons, that was a challenge, but facing off against a Jinjulki, that was a different battle altogether. Do not be afraid. I'll personally handle her, Naruto said. After the way he just killed the enemy now, there wasn't a voice of objection or hesitation. Get some rest and guard the camp. We attack tomorrow night, Naruto said. Kisame could see the look in Naruto's eyes as he led Naruto away from the camp. He could also see the village. The place was broken, like they did on purpose. The buildings were destroyed, reduced to rubble. Despite not being a Uzu ninja, Kisame felt sorrow for the village, and he knew that his village had a hand in this as well. I'll build it back, Naruto promised, as a lone tear fell from his eye. How will you do that? Asked Kisame. By restoring the third Uzukage, Katsura-sama, back to his seat. What if the leader is not there? What if he is dead or missing? As Naruto clenched his fists, then I'll find someone who can be the new leader, the fourth. What about you? Kisame said. What about me? Naruto said. Kisame looked at him with that strange smile, as Naruto then understood what Kisame meant. I'm a bastard, not a true Uzumaki, Naruto said. You will be if we win this, said Kisame. Well, my clan doesn't like me much. They probably hate my guts, Naruto said, a small laugh. The third Uzukage made you lead the survivors because he knew you had what it takes to lead Uzu to a new future. That you will be strong enough to make them rise again. I got my people killed, Naruto said. I failed. Not all of them, said Kisame. As Naruto didn't look up, maybe Nagato or some of the other senior Uzumakis. Soon enough, you will be asked to make difficult choices. Decisions that will change and shape your future and your clan as well. Choose wisely, Lord Fourth, said Kisame. Irritated, Naruto looked up, but Kisame was already gone, as the words were in his heart already. If Katsura-sama was gone or missing, then his people need a new leader. But he was not that leader. He was the one that will stand up and fight. Tomorrow he will be facing a battle that far outclass his own. He will be fighting to make sure his people are safe. Yes, they will know what true suffering and pain is, all of them that is in there. He will make sure all of those Kumo ninjas pay, because tomorrow will be hell. If only he knew what fate had in store for him. Time skip. Kushina had tears streaming down her face as she watched the state her beautiful home was plunged into. But she had hope, because she saw actual Uzumakis forced to create a defense protection outside of the village by Kumo shinobis. Her blood boiled on seeing the bastards who tried to kidnap her as a child, enslave her people. She had always hated Kumo from the bottom of her heart, and to see them treat her clansman that way. But most of all, if her clan was alive, then maybe her son. As she looked at her comrades to see them were shocked, as Minato was speechless, so were the silent envoys. But it was Orochimaru who spoke. We must retreat now, he said. Before anyone could even blink fast enough, Orochimaru was roughly grabbed by Kushina as he grabbed his throat and lifted him off the ground. Are you suggesting we abandon my clan? She asked murderously, her eyes becoming slightly red as the Kyuubi chakra poured inside of her. We are already at war with the Sand. We cannot afford another with Kumo, said Orochimaru. He's right, Kushina-san. If we attack Kumo, then it will be an act of war by Konoha, son of the envoys. She saw the same look in everyone's eyes as she relieved Orochimaru's neck, but she did not put him down gently at all. Their opinion didn't matter to her, because it was one man who could end that entire army alone. As she turned towards the Yellow Flash himself, Minato found himself in another situation where he was forced to choose between nations or family. The last time he made a decision like this, it cost him his son and love of his life. But he could see it in her eyes, the desperation, the pain, the silent plea. You once told me that Konoha value comrades greatly. I have served the village my entire life. I still serve the village after my son was stolen from me. Minato, she said helplessly. Even if we free your clan, Kushina, our son could still be dead, said Minato. She stepped forward and placed her two hands on his shoulder, looking him directly in the eyes. Look at those people, Minato. They are Konoha allies who stood by our village for decades. If we abandon them now, Then what good is our village's word, she said. I won't allow you fools to start another war, said Orochimaru, as half of the envoys surrounded them. The rest of the envoys who were found with Minato drew their swords, as everyone was shocked. Minato could feel the tension, but all he could see was her eyes. We will lose everything, he said. Konoha was never going to fight against Kumo when they were already fighting with the sand on the front. Despite his mind warning him, Minato could not help but think about the situation of his son being alive in that village, his child suffering, as his anger started to rise. As Orochimaru backed away from him as he could feel a burning anger in the man. As Kushina waited for his answer, if he fought he would lose Konoha. If he didn't, he would lose his son again forever. He could end half of Kumo's army today, and if Hiruzen was here, perhaps the old man would choose heart above mind. But most of all, he was feeling a pull towards Uzu, and he could not abandon Kushina again. With the war we will be starting today be worth it? Asked Minato. With you by my side, we can end Kumo's forces before they even step a foot on Konoha's soil, said Kushina. As Minato knew that she wasn't wrong, he was Yellow Flash and she was a Kyuubi Jinchuriki. As Minato looked at her with a smile, for justice, he said. For our son, she said. Orochimaru stomped through the envoys that were protecting them, as he couldn't let them do this. Hiruzen would have his head if he let those two start a war. However, before he could reach him, they disappeared in a bright yellow flash. As Orochimaru knew, he was screwed. With the Akatsuki, my lord, over there, as Naruto grabbed the set of binoculars as he looked through it, what he saw made him shocked. What the hell? Sitting on his wolf, he saw two figures charging towards Uzu. Who are those damn fools? Said Kisame. My parents, Naruto said. But guys, it'll be end this episode right here. If you want the next part of this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. I'm out of here. Peace.